Cricbuzz chatter at the end of day 3, as it turns out, also at the end of a test match. If you remember, we had said right at the end yesterday that if this game goes into a fourth day, India are in with a chance. If it gets over on the third day, well, then it's not likely to happen. I thought India capitulated at the start and New Zealand really just romped home. Simon Doull is in Christchurch along with us to talk on Cricbuzz chatter. Simon, that opening spell, India's batting just didn't have the didn't have the runs on the board ever, did they?
No, they didn't. They struggled, didn't they? They struggled with the swinging ball. They struggled with the seaming ball. And the moment that Trent Boult and Tim Southee got in on the action this morning, it was curtains for India. They needed 80, 90, 100 runs from Rishabh Pant, from Vihari, from Ravi Jadeja. Didn't get anywhere near that, and as soon as New Zealand had to chase anything under that 150, I think that's something we talked about last night, Harsha, it was always going to be relatively comfortable. India had to make New Zealand feel some pressure, and they couldn't do that.
I mean, I've been saying this for 20 years. I say it every time India travel overseas, that in India, the new ball doesn't count for as much as it does overseas. And I thought India never really got a base going, hardly got any opening partnerships, 3 times out of 4 as a result, bowled out for under 200. That fragility in the batting, was it over-reliant on maybe Pujara, Kohli, or did you just see other deeper issues with the batting?
Well, I don't think it's the best opening combination that's ever toured New Zealand as far as Indian teams are concerned. They have certainly better opening batsmen. So what that does in turn is it puts enormous pressure on 3, 4, 5. And I think they started to feel it. And Virat Kohli's probably feeling it a little bit as well. And you mentioned in the post-match presentation that he wasn't happy with his own form. He knows he's better than that, and he knows he has to produce more than that. Pujara showed glimpses, but didn't quite kick on with it. 50s aren't going to win you test matches. And Rahane has struggled. And at times, we know how good Jinx has been in overseas conditions as well, Harsha. He's a tough character. He's fought hard in certain conditions and scored runs for India. So with those 3, Pujara, I'll give him maybe a 5 out of 10 in the test matches, but the other 2 well below 5, well then you're just not going to do well if your opening combination's not working. Enormous pressure on 3, 4 and 5, and it's never going to be enough. And Kohli himself said as much about that in the post-match. He said the batsman did not do the job. He was relatively happy with the bowling unit.
There you go. You can see already how much a part of Cricbuzz Simon is, because he started doing my report card as well. But Simon, you'll be happy to know that we've got almost similar views on the report card itself. But the fact remains that New Zealand is still a very difficult country for overseas teams to come and play and win. I mean, so often around the world, New Zealand, people say, yeah, I mean, New Zealand's there. I mean, you just say, take New Zealand for granted a little bit, but that home record now, with that quality of pace bowling, the arrival of Jamieson, maybe to a lesser extent, Blundell going up to open the batting with Latham, it's starting to become a very, very formidable home record.
Yeah, it is, and it's a record that New Zealand are very proud of, and it's just the conditions are such that New Zealand know how to play. Even the batsmen, in general terms, know how to play. Now, yes, India got on top of them after being 63 without loss yesterday morning, but they still know how to bat generally in these conditions, and that takes some skill. It's almost like taking the colour of the pitch and what it's going to do out of the equation. Just say, look, yeah, I'm going to get a good ball at some stage. It's going to get me out, but I want to make hay while I can. I want to put the bad ball away, and you have to put the conditions in the pitch almost out of your mind and forget about any negativity and just be positive. Treat it as a positive. Gee, it's going to come onto the bat nicely for me. I'm going to be able to play my shots. I'll get full value for them if I get past the infield. So those are the things that you need to sort of get to the forefront of your mind, not the negative side of things. And this bowling attack, it's just added another string to its bow, hasn't it, with Jamieson coming into it. De Grandhomme's done a terrific job over the last 3-4 years for New Zealand in these conditions. Southee and Boult don't look like they've gone anywhere near going backwards. They're continuing to go forwards. So it's Neil Wagner was back after the birth of his child after missing the Wellington test, and it's a very formidable lineup.
Now, before the series started, I thought it was going to be a very good contest between 2 outstanding fast bowling units. And we've not always said that about India over the years, but I thought India, New Zealand, Australia probably represented the 3 quality fast bowling setups. Certainly New Zealand in their conditions, Australia and theirs. India's fast bowlers had done a pretty good job all around. But Ishant Sharma in the first test, Bumrah in the second, but largely See, I got the impression, but you were there, I was watching from afar, that New Zealand outbowled India.
Yeah, they did, and I'll go back.
Or to be honest, is that a factor? Is that a factor of how the opposition batsmen played that was made to look that?
Yeah, a bit of both, a little bit of both. New Zealand, as I said earlier, playing in these conditions, they know how to play. They're probably slightly better equipped to play in these green conditions and seaming conditions. And I think New Zealand bowlers probably did out-bowl India a little bit. They got their lengths right, particularly in Wellington, but also the toss. The toss can be quite crucial, and we've talked about that in Indian conditions as well, how crucial it can be to win the toss and bat first and then have the spin really take a part in day 3, 4 and 5 if it gets that far. In New Zealand conditions, if you lose the toss and have to bat, you have to bat very, very well. The seaming conditions, the friendly conditions are there for the bowlers to use. New Zealand won both tosses, they won both games. Now that's not always the case, but predominantly, if you win the toss and bowl in New Zealand, you are well and truly in front of the test match. So it was a good Indian bowling attack. I think the seam attack that came here, losing Ishant after Wellington was a big blow. I think he had a bowl beautifully on the surface, and I think that was a real crucial blow.
Now, in general, while touring teams are making a comeback, there's been a few away series wins. This series just highlights how difficult it is for away teams. But it's time to put Simon Doull in a hot spot now. Simon, you've seen Indian teams coming to New Zealand over the years. You've played against some of them. How good was this team in the context of some of the others that have arrived on New Zealand shores over the years?
I think international experience at the very top of the order was lacking in Agarwal and Prithvi Shaw. That was one of the key things, and that hasn't always been the case. India have sent teams to New Zealand with stacks of international experience right at the top of the order. So that didn't help. Enormous pressure on 3, 4 and 5 when that happens. They didn't perform. I think this is a good side that's probably lacking 2 key components. That's 2 real top quality opening batsmen to battle in these types of conditions. If India could get 40, 50, 60 runs on the board without losing a wicket, these games change dramatically. So I think the bowling unit, Ishant Sharma being fit in Wellington, was very, very good, just needed to improve their lengths. And I don't look at the side and think it was a bad Indian side by any stretch. New Zealand played well. They just lacked those 2 key components right at the top of the order.
Right, there you are then. The T20s 5-0. You hardly ever get series like this. T20s 5-0, ODIs 3-0, and then India outplayed in the test matches 2-0. And as it went on, Simon Doull acquired some snazzy glasses as well to go with his snazzy shoes. Normally you think of Dooley, you think shoes or the glasses are coming on. They'll all be on display when Dooley joins us during the IPL. Look forward to welcoming you in India, Dooley, and thanks for joining us on Cricbuzz Channel.
Yeah, can't wait, Harsha. Looking forward to the IPL, looking forward to being back in India, and looking forward to being in the Cricbuzz studios.